Well, I thank the Speaker for the time. And as we witnessed President Biden's State of the Union speech last night in this historic House chamber, the gallery was filled with families that are in mourning, Mr. Speaker. They're in mourning because their loved ones are captive by a rogue terror group or by an authoritarian country or by a nation not living up to the rule of law. Some 56 Americans, Mr. Speaker, are held wrongfully detained by another country or by a terror group. And this week, we had many of those families in the gallery last night. We had the parents of Evan Gershkovich, the Wall Street Journal reporter, held in Russia. We had families whose loved ones are somewhere in Gaza, held by the terrorist group Hamas. Americans. And we don't know where they are or what their condition is. In last year's defense authorization bill, Congresswoman Haley Stevens and I created a provision that was passed by this House and by the Senate and signed into law by President Biden that designates March 9th, tomorrow, Mr. Speaker, as U.S. Hostage and Wrongful Detainee Day. So it's perfectly appropriate that last night in this gallery, those families came. Why March 9th? The death of Bob Levinson, the longest held American held hostage abroad. And this week, Congresswoman Stevens and I met with the Foley Foundation, the McCain Institute, who are working mightily with members of Congress, with our diplomats, to free those 56 Americans identified as being held illegally and wrongfully abroad. Haley and I met with Sagu Dinkle Chin's family, one of the Hamas, I hope to say hostages, not a victim in Hamas. We met with the family of Zach Shaheen, held by the United Arab Emirates for the past 16 years. We met with the family of Kai Li, held in a Shanghai prison. The countries that hold Americans wrongfully are many. And I think it's important that this House keep those families top of mind every day. In my office, Mr. Speaker, I have a beautiful inlaid box from Syria, a custom in their country, and it's dedicated to Maj Kamal Maz, formerly a constituent of mine in Little Rock. His family now lives in North Texas. He is in Syria, somewhere in one of Assad's jail. So, Mr. Speaker, we need to constantly remember these families and America's obligation to not leave Americans held wrongfully detained abroad and reunite them with their family. It's an obligation of our country. It's an obligation of this legislative branch. And we are committed to working with the administration to bring them home.